Hello everybody and welcome back to Red Eagle Politics. Make sure you guys like this video down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Oh, and if you believe that this would not backfire on Donald Trump, I really hate to break it to you, but you may have been wrong. And while it may be still a little bit too early to kind of see the full impact, we are seeing a lot of positive developments that are just in the works here based off of some numbers and metrics and even polling data that we have post-conviction that look really good for Donald Trump. But Donald Trump's campaign in the month of May raised $141 million. A lot of that was pre-verdict. A lot of that is post-verdict. He's already probably raised close to that in June, just based off of the reports that we covered, based off of the fact that he's still fundraising like crazy and the fact that he's nabbing some of these top-tier donors. And you look at that, and that is absolutely huge because Biden's campaign raised just $51 million in April. Who knows what they raised in May? They haven't said anything about it. But either way, that's basically the Trump-Biden gap that you had in cash on hand. That's gone and then some. And we know that over the weekend, it was reported that Donald Trump had raised $200 million after the verdict, and a lot of that was in June as well. So he's probably going to get around that number in June. He's probably not too far from that number right now. He may even outdo that, and it just shows what a competent RNC can do in terms of chasing these donors, because Ronna McDaniel did not know how to do it to save her life because she was not very good at her job. But on top of that, that's not the only takeaway here. A lot of these donations are small dollar donors. You have 2 million donations, 500,000 new donors who have never donated to Trump before, ever, brand new. And you talk about the raw donor count that Trump had compared to Biden last time. Biden ended up with 2.2 million more raw donors than Donald Trump. This time around, it was pretty much a dead heat. Donald Trump's blowing him out of the water right now because of this. They're giving Republicans the energy factor when they act like this. We know it. And the more people learn about this case, the more people read into it, the more people realize that, yeah, you know, there's no way that Donald Trump, for any case, is really going to get a fair trial in New York City, in a district in New York City that gave Joe Biden over 90% of the vote, where the district attorney campaigned on getting Donald Trump, couldn't specify the crime, still hasn't specified the main crime in question. And on top of that, you have Biden's Department of Justice, their third in command, leaves to join the prosecution for this case. Really, you're telling us it's not politically motivated from the get-go? Unprecedented case. You know, a case like it has never happened before where you're mixing the federal crime with the state jurisdictions in New York. It's never happened before. You know, iffy changes on statute of limitations. We see that on all these Trump trials, mainly in New York, especially in terms of these civil trials as well, which were also bogus. This is not going to move the needle against him. That was the main takeaway. He's not in jail. Honestly, if they do put him in jail, it's possible that he may be elected president from jail for all we know. But Trump likely is going to try to appeal this thing all the way to the Supreme Court. But in terms of the campaign, it goes on. You know, Morning Consult, we saw a poll that came out yesterday, and it was the day of the verdict only, and Joe Biden was up on Donald Trump 45 to 44. And it was a shift of 3 points from the previous poll. And they were saying, well, you know, this is just the start. You know, more people are going to learn about this and Trump's going to collapse. Nope, it has not been the case because Donald Trump now has rebounded back when they polled a few days after the verdict. The instant bump, the snap polls. Nope, Donald Trump is doing just as well as he was doing before. He gained back all the ground he lost from the conviction already in Morning Consult. They're trying to hit this guy with everything. They're trying to drain his resources, his time he could spend campaigning, his pocketbooks. It's all backfired. He was cooped up in a courtroom for nearly 2 months And his numbers went up in every single state. Biden's been outspending Trump like crazy in Pennsylvania. Trump's gone up by around 3 points in that same time frame in the state, which is where Biden's been campaigning. They've indicted him, they've convicted him, but it's bounced off, and it's only just really energizing the base more so than it's doing anything else. You could say, well, these are just people that support Trump giving Trump their money. And it's true, but that money could be used to, get people on the ground volunteering, paying for ground game, you name it, collecting intel, campaign ads. Obviously, that's not the sole determining factor of an election. Trump could have an advertisement on every single commercial break. In terms of every commercial, he's still not going to, be able to move the needle like 5%, for example. But every little bit counts in these swing states, and usually those metrics have favored the Democrats. But right now, Donald Trump is actually outraising Biden significantly down the stretch. In 2020, he was for a while, but down the stretch, that's where Biden had the advantage. Hillary Clinton in 2016, both down the stretch and at the onset of the campaign, she was raising and spending a lot of money. She outspent Trump by a decent amount. You can get her off the airwaves. But Biden, he's more unpopular, and he may not have the resources needed to compete. And is calling Trump a convicted felon really going to work when the more people read about the case, the more people learn about the case, they realize how bogus it is? Really? They still can't even name the crime. Falsifying business records for some campaign finance thing? Do the business records that were allegedly falsified in 2017, do they travel through time backwards? No, they don't. It's ridiculous. The more Americans learn about this, the more they can see directly through it. And it is very telling. It is. And this is not the only poll to show it. It's not. TIPP. Trump was down in this poll. The last poll by 2 points. It's now a tie. Donald Trump went up by 2 points on net since the verdict. This poll was conducted, 2 days where people knew the verdict and then 1 day before, but likely he did go up from the last poll regardless. So this is like the shockwave we've seen, and we saw the one poll out of Harris X and Forbes where Trump went up 2 points, and that poll was conducted exclusively after the verdict. You look at this, of the 4 polls taken, Trump gained in 3 of them. The one exception was Reuters, which is very swingy, and Biden was up by 4 in April. Now he's up by 2. That's still not enough, not to mention the fact that it's a very left-leaning pollster. But Biden being up by 2 is not enough to even get him the victory in the Electoral College. So, there's no way to spin this that, Trump is done. It impacts things a lot. And now they will cope and talk about, well, now the polls don't matter. Ground game, some obscure cope about field offices, which is an overrated metric, but Trump is opening campaign offices in Pennsylvania. Biden is 24. Trump is going to start opening them in Philadelphia. I assume he's going to open quite a bit more than this one, especially now with all this money. And it's like, yeah, you look at what's going on here. You look at every single metric. Everything they're throwing at this guy is bouncing off, and they just don't know what the hell's going on. So who knows? Are they really going to try to gamble with jail time? Are they even going to be able to do that? Well, we'll really have to wait and see. We'll have to find out. But Donald Trump and Joe Biden, they're debating in about 3 weeks. There's a reason why Joe Biden wanted to debate this early, because he knows that he needs a miracle to, stay afloat. They're basically conceding North Carolina, conceding Georgia. They're not trying hard in those states. The states that they're mainly focusing on, also Nevada, they're not really putting a lot of resources in. They're trying to hold Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Arizona. They're definitely conceding ground. They're admitting they're not going to win in a blowout election scenario. They're now divesting resources into Virginia. That's not exactly a really good look for the campaign. Now, is it probably a good strategy for them that they're consolidating their efforts on, playing defense and winning by a very narrow margin? Yeah, probably. I'm not going to say it's bad strategy, but is the math even there for him at this point, given the fact that those were the states of focus last time by and large, and the popularity of Biden has dipped to the point where, so much campaigning is not going to really be able to move the needle. But who's got the money now? It's Trump, too. I mean, Trump is raising money like crazy. It's raining from the sky. We're not even to the RNC yet. We're not even to the debate yet. He's probably going to get more. And yeah, Biden will likely try to raise off of that as well. And it's not the only metric. But the more that Trump is basically being targeted by the political system because he is a threat to the establishment and nothing more, Donald Trump's numbers tend to go up. And all the cope we hear about suburban voters might not vote for somebody who's a convicted felon, it's a label. If they believe the person is wrongly convicted, it's not going to have an impact on their vote. And it really wouldn't. At this point, it's Donald Trump. He's been hit with every name and label in the book by these people. This really is just a humiliation ritual that they're putting Donald Trump through that is something that's very partisan. The people on the right are angry. The people on the left are celebrating. They're laughing about it. But again, that's kind of a sign of complacency. The people in the middle, they're learning about it. But if they're really that undecided, this likely was not enough to really sway their vote either way. And I can't see really any two-time Trump voters defect. I mean, we even see articles from New York Times authors, and they're saying, well, my family members didn't vote for Trump. They voted for Obama. They voted for, they list Democrats in the past, and then they say they wanted a Nikki Haley Republican nomination, and they talked to him to see if this would solidify their vote against Biden. Did the opposite. Now Donald Trump gained their vote, and it's true. He is being targeted for political reasons. This is not some case that is really all that strong, really all that legitimate, and they're doing it basically for one reason, because it's an election year. They want to get Donald Trump. They want to lock him up and throw away the key because that's the only way they can beat him, because they can't win on the border. They can't win on the economy. They can't win on any issue. They can't even win on abortion anymore, according to a lot of polls that we've seen. So that's why they're doing this, but it's backfiring. So what is the next step going to be? That's the real question, because even if Trump does somehow go to jail, he's probably this margin that he's raising, it's going to be far greater than that. And honestly, at that point, it's going to be very difficult, in my opinion, to end up beating him, just because it would really open a lot of eyes, really paint Biden as the bad guy, and as a result, he'd prevail. Americans love an underdog comeback story. They're getting one right now, but we still have 5 months to go before the election. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. Like this video down below, comment down below, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Follow me on social media. The links are all in the description down below, and I will see you guys in the next one. Red Eagle, out.